In several Australian states, if you drive an electric vehicle, you have to pay what's called a road user charge, where essentially you pay per kilometre that you travel. These are often justified as a replacement for the federal fuel tax for electric vehicle drivers. However, state-based road user charges are effectively big new taxes on not polluting. Let's break it down. Western Australia is the latest state to announce a distance-based road user charge for drivers of electric vehicles, an EV tax. EV taxes have already been introduced for Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia. However, South Australia's new Labor government will be repealing the tax in South Australia. EV taxes are a backwards and unnecessary step. Firstly, the money from the federal fuel tax doesn't fund our roads directly. The main justification for taxing EVs is to replace the fuel tax in order to fund and maintain our roads. But fuel tax isn't hypothecated, which means it's not earmarked specifically for road spending. There's no link between the money raised from the fuel tax and the money that's used to build and maintain those roads. But don't just take my word for it. You can take the word of the Australian Government's Productivity Commission, the previous Minister for Transport, Treasury, or Department of Finance. You know how the fuel tax was just cut in half for 6 months? Well, that doesn't mean that road spending will also be cut, does it? Secondly, if the government was seriously worried about declining revenue from the fuel tax, it could consider phasing out the fuel tax rebate for big miners, which sees billions returned each year to the mining and energy companies. And finally, EV taxes penalise drivers for not using petrol. At a time when Australian EV uptake is far behind other countries due to the lack of supportive federal policies and our fuel security crisis is growing, an additional tax on EVs is the last thing we need. That's why other road user charging schemes like New Zealand's actually exempt EVs from the charge rather than targeting them in order to promote their uptake. Because taxation isn't just a tool to provide revenue, it's also used to influence human behaviours. What we need in Australia is a sensible discussion about federal road user charging schemes that are levied to cover all the cost vehicles impose on society. Damages to roads, air pollution, congestion, carbon emissions, not a big new tax on not polluting.